If you're new to plants or just starting your plant journey, then this video is for you. But if you're already experienced and had a lot of success already, stick around and share some of your plant tips down in the comments below. Hello everyone, if you're new here, my name is JC and welcome to another video. Today I want to talk about some of the things I wish I knew back when I was starting with my plant journey. So let me just say upfront that I'm not an expert on plants. I don't claim to be an expert on plants. This is just a hobby that I've really grown to love over the years. Everything I've learned is through trial and error, a lot of research, a lot of watching YouTube videos, and honestly killing some plants. So today I want to talk about 5 things I wish I knew when I first started, hoping to save you some headache and maybe save a few plants too. Okay, number 1 and probably the most important thing I wish I knew when I first started: clear nursery pots. I swear by this now, like 99% of my plants are in nursery pots now, which I wish I started using when I first started. It would have saved me a lot of plants. Okay, the reason why I like using clear nursery pots is number 1, because you can monitor the roots very closely, which I think is the most important indicator of your plant's overall health. Healthy roots will lead to healthy plants in general. So if you take care of the roots, your plants will give you nice healthy leaves. With clear pots, you can easily spot issues like root rot. You can see pests, even like overcrowding, which can become serious sometimes too. Just makes watering like so much easier. With clear pots, you know exactly when the soil is dry or not. No more using water meter or no more guessing when to water. You know exactly when your plants need water, depending on the plant too. So some plants likes to dry out in between and some plants don't. So like my anthuriums and alocasias, or even like calatheas, but I don't have calatheas now, but they like to stay like a little moist than philodendrons and monsteras. So I know when to water those like right away. Versus my philodendrons and monsteras, I usually wait a little bit, let it dry in between watering, then I water. Makes watering so much easier. And then also, you know exactly when you need to repot. Like, you don't need to pull out the plants, you don't need to disturb the roots. You know, you can see exactly when your roots are crowded. You can see the roots like spiraling, like especially in the bottom. And you can see how crowded it is. So you know exactly when you need to upgrade the pot. Thankfully, the clear pots are everywhere now. Like you can get them on Amazon or Etsy. When I first started, I don't think it was like available everywhere. It wasn't as popular back then. So they were a little harder to find than today. So all my plants in the IKEA cabinet, I just leave them in the clear nursery pot. But for the rest of my plants, I usually put them in a clear pot like this. And then I will just get a decorative pot and just put it. All right, so let me just show you. This is my variegated red Congo. You can tell exactly that it's like dry. So yeah, I would water this plant maybe tomorrow, the next couple of days. You can literally see the roots. Like you can see how dry it is. Okay, like this one, it's like semi-dry. So I wouldn't water this. I would wait a little bit, let it dry for a little bit more. It's gonna need water sometime soon, but not like today or tomorrow. Like when you just water them. Sorry, I don't want to make a mess. It's dripping. It's my mint that I actually cut, trying to propagate it while it's still in the pot. You see it? And activated the growth point already. And then this top cutting will continue to grow. Yeah. Okay, number 2 on the list of 5 things I wish I knew when I first started is that light is everything. I can't stress this enough. Light should be the most important factor in your plant care. Just think of this, like they grow in the wild with the best conditions out there, best humidity, best sunlight, best temperature. Then we bring them to our homes, already not ideal for them. So we want to make sure we're giving them the best condition. But light is the most important factor we can control when we bring them to our home. So we want to make sure we bring them closest to the window, make sure they're getting enough light. We should provide grow lights if needed. Don't sacrifice their needs for aesthetics. And I'm guilty of that when I first started. I know it's tempting to fill up a nice pretty shelf in the corner with no window. I've done that in the past. When I first started, I had this pretty nice shelf and I wanted to fill it with plants, and lo and behold, they all decline eventually. And what looked good in picture isn't what always best for your plant. If you want a thriving plant collection, you need to focus on the things that they need to grow versus how they will look good in your home. Okay, number 3 on the list, things I wish I knew when I first started. Less is more. Quality over quantity. I know it's easier said than done, and I'm guilty again. When I first started with collecting plants, I wanted every single plant. So I would collect all the monsteras, I would collect all the syngoniums. I remember getting the albo, the aurea, esqueleto, and then syngonium. I remember getting the syngonium albo, syngonium aurea, mojito, the pink splash, and then come to find out I don't even like syngoniums. And having too many plants, especially when you're first starting, can be overwhelming. It's better to have fewer plants that are thriving rather than a jungle of like struggling ones. And let's be honest, the more plants you have, the harder it is to keep up with their needs. Watering can be overwhelming. If pests happen, it can be really overwhelming, especially if you're new and just starting. Repotting them, especially when you get busy with life, it's easy for some plants to be neglected. Instead, focus on the ones you truly love and care for. Trust me, you'll appreciate your collection more when it's more manageable. Like honestly, right now, like it seems like I still have a lot of plants, but I have way less compared to like maybe even like a couple years ago. Like I definitely have way less plants now. Like I can manage them easily, and I can honestly say like most of them are the ones that I really love. I've let go a lot of my plants over the last couple of years, and I only kept the ones that I really like. I rarely propagate them unless I really need to, if they're getting too big. But I try not to have a lot of cuttings, a lot of random props everywhere, because that can get overwhelming too. And pests is way harder to manage when you have a big collection. And no matter how good you are, no matter how many plants you have, you can have 1 or you can have 100. Pests will happen and you can't avoid it. A smaller collection is easier to monitor rather than like a really big collection. Especially if you're new, having a pest outbreak is very stressful. Trust me. It's better to have a fewer plants that make you proud versus a bunch of plants that you feel guilty about neglect. Remember, plant care takes time and your space has limits. Choose plants that fit in your life that will allow you to enjoy the process rather than feeling burdened by it. Okay, number 4, which I've covered a little bit, but I think it's very important. Pests will happen no matter how good you are, no matter how many plants you have. Either if you have 1 plant to 100, pests will find its way into your plant collection. It's gonna happen. It doesn't mean you're a bad plant parent. It's just part of having plant indoors. The best way to deal with pests is to prevent pests. I can't stress this enough. Prevention is key. Prevention. Making sure your plants is healthy, that alone will help your plants fight off pests. And just keep your plants always clean, monitor them regularly. I've developed a habit when I water my plants. I use either my shower head or in my sink, I use the force of the water to spray the leaves. And that way, if there is pests in the leaves, that will help kind of wash them away. And check your plants regularly. Catching pests early is probably one of the most important things. If you catch it early, it's much easier to manage than having an outbreak, especially when your plants is all come together. Especially with me, if I have a cabinet, as soon as I see something, I check them every day, because I know if pests get into the cabinet, the whole cabinet can be affected. So if pests happen, I make my own mixture. I'll show you in a little bit how I add it, but I don't measure anymore. I just eyeball it. It's working so far. And make sure you're doing this at night or wash the leaves right away, because if you put them in the sun or by the window or even grow lights, the neem oil, it'll burn the leaves. So you just gotta be careful. And be patient. Dealing with pests usually takes weeks, sometimes months. You can't get rid of it in day one. You gotta be vigilant. You gotta be watching it daily. You just gotta treat it until you're for sure there's no pests. It gets really bad. I usually just cut the actual leaf. If I see a bunch of pests in the leaves, I would just sacrifice that leaf. It'll grow another new leaf, but it's better to just get rid of the leaves that are affected already. and then have the plant focus on growing a brand new leaf. So for the mixture for my spray, I usually just have one of these. So I'm using neem oil, and then I add this another insecticidal spray, castile soap, and a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Like I said, I don't measure anymore. I forgot the actual measurement. So I usually like to add the water first, because if you add the water last, the soap will, it'll just bubble. There's gonna be some soap in it. So yeah, so you don't fill it all the way. So first I would put a little bit of neem oil. Like I said, I don't measure anymore, so I just kind of eyeball it. So, and this is a concentrate, so you don't need a lot. And then I add the insecticidal spray. And then just a little bit of the castile soap. You don't need a lot. And then a little bit, not a lot of rubbing alcohol, so just a little bit. There you have it. And I usually just keep this outside. And then if I need it, if I need to spray something, it's ready. Last on the list, which is still important, is to prepare for winter. If you're new and you start collecting plants during spring or summer, usually spring, summer, your plant grows really fast. They're thriving. Everything is exciting. Everything changes winter. All of a sudden, you don't know what to do. So winter, everything changes during winter. Your plant care should change during winter. Even in warmer area, like here in San Diego, even in the winter, I know they're growing, but it's not as fast as summer. So winter brings shorter days, less light, and colder temperature, all of which affects your plants and your plant care. The lack of light or less light can cause your plants to go dormant or just slow down in growing. So you need to be watering less frequently than you would during spring or summer. Root rot tend to happen during winter is because, especially when you're new, you continue to do your watering routine during spring and you continue that during winter, and your plants already slowed down or went dormant, and that can cause root rot. People are using heaters, and even the cold air will reduce humidity, and this will cause some stress to your plants. You can use humidifier, especially during winter. It'll help the plants with the humidity. And it's normal for plants to lose some leaves during winter. If you look at the plants outside, they tend to drop some of its leaves. So it's normal for your indoor plants to drop some yellow leaves too during winter. This is to conserve energy so that they hold less leaves to maintain. And again, pests problems usually tend to happen during winter. Pests usually loves dry air and when your plants are weak, and this tends to happen during winter. So you need to be vigilant and really be checking your plants frequently. I think that's it. That's it for today. That's the 5 things I wish I knew when I first started. I hope in some ways it can help some people. And remember, plant care is a journey. You need to enjoy that journey. It's okay to make mistakes. That's how we learn. If you're new to plants, I'd like to know which one of these you find helpful. If you're an experienced plant parent, share your best advice down in the comments below. Who knows, you might inspire someone to save their first plant today. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys. Dripping.